How long should your child prep for the SAT? And when parents ask me regarding this topic, I usually reply with two clarifying questions. First is your child looking to polish their score, or are they starting from scratch? Now, in the case of polishing their scores, this means that the student has already mastered algebra 1 and 2, as well as geometry and trigonometry. So if a student has already mastered these math concepts, it's now about strategy, timing, and filling small gaps. And if your child is starting from scratch, they clearly need to build fundamentals, equations, data analysis, reading stamina. If your child is in the first camp of just polishing their math or reading skills, it usually takes weeks. Now, if you're in the second camp, this can take years. Regardless of which camp your child is in, it is important that they start long before senior year. And I go over the importance of starting early with the SAT, ACT test prep in my previous videos and in my playlist. So go ahead and check those videos out as well. Now here I'm going to draw a timeline based on your child's SAT math score. So let's say your child has gotten over 700 in math and they're looking to polish it. So once they polish their math, and assuming that their reading is also on target, generally speaking, 1450 plus as a total test score is attainable. And let's say that's the target. So the strategy for this type of student is AI tuned micro tutoring. And they should only be focused on their weaknesses. Also helps to have group class, but it's important that they only are surrounded by high scorers as well. Those who've achieved 700 plus on their math. You don't want them to be placed into just a hodgepodge of students that with varying SAT scores. You want to be with the high scorers. So with this strategy, like I said, the timeline should be about 4 to 6 weeks to attain the target score of 1450 total or above. If your child's math score is anywhere between 600 to 700 and they want to aim for 700 plus in both math and English, then it would be good to do 1 to 2 hour daily practice, actually adaptive practice, to mimic as much of the test condition as possible. And this can come from Khan Academy or online sources, official SAT practice, and targeted video lessons. And this would be about 2 to 3 month endeavor. So over the summer, practicing 1 to 2 hours daily on SAT for a student who's ranging between 6 to 700 in their math scores is a fantastic way to get their scores up above 700. Now next we have someone who's scoring between 5 to 600 in math, and they want to get their scores up above 650. This is now we're heading into the second camp that we mentioned earlier of building foundation. They need to build a stronger foundation. At the same time, learn the strategy of test taking. It would be wise for them to do an algebra and geometry refresher if they've already taken these courses. Timed drills. They need to be able to perform well under time constraints and take weekly practice tests online. Tests. And I would usually give this timeline about 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9 months. And it would be very realistic for them to score above 650 on their math and English sections. Now, what if your child is scoring below 500 on math and you want to get them to above 600? This is straight up just learning the foundation. So they must master algebra, geometry, trigonometry, algebra including 1 and 2. So if your child has not gotten through all of these math yet, then you want to give them time to truly master these concepts and foundations. On top of that, daily reading and writing drills must be daily. Whether they're in 9th grade or they're 11th grade scoring 500, this drill needs to be done daily if you're scoring below 500 in the English section. And realistically, this would take about 1 to 2 years for them to score above 600 in both math and English. So let me zoom out a little bit to hopefully you guys can see the timeline here. So like that, like this, like this. So depending on where your child's score is, all right, to reach a target score of either 1450 or 700 on both sections, 650 on both sections, 600 on both sections. These are the test prep strategies they should go through, and this is the estimated time that it would take them to get to this target score by following this prep strategy. So I touched briefly on the group class for high scorers, and you might be wondering, well, can my child still join group class if they're scoring in these ranges? And the answer is yes, but you need to be very strategic about what group. So I told y'all that high scorers, they need to get along with other high scorers. And you want a specialized tutor who can zero in on 1 or 2 tricky topics, or a tutor that can really help your child overcome their weakness. Okay? You want someone niched in. Now for the mid scorer, if your child is scoring anywhere between 550 to 650, it would be wise for them to be in a small cohort, maybe half a dozen to dozen students studying together. Pace matters. Now what about low scorers? Below 550. They need foundation courses. Okay? Courses take time. Do not let them take 5-week boot camp. This is not going to help them. They need foundation, and foundation needs time, and they need daily practice and patience and dedication to move them up to this mid-score range. So here's a good way to establish a baseline and ongoing diagnostic for the SAT prep. So first, you need a baseline, so either take a digital SAT diagnostic, ideally from the official College Board website or a reputable mock test. If your child can sit in on the digital PSAT as a 9th or 10th grade, this is another great way to establish a baseline. Once you have this baseline, you would want to measure progress every 4 to 6 weeks by taking a full-length practice test. And in between, take adaptive AI quizzes. So this is a good overview on the SAT timeline and prep strategy based on your child's scores. So just know that even if you're a high scorer, you still need to put in weeks of prep. So this is a marathon, okay? SAT prep is never going to be a sprint. So pick your timeline by your score as seen here and get started now.